Hello, good morning, and good evening. I'm James Jones, and I'm joined today by no one. That's right, no one. My favorite opportunity to hang out with just you, the audience, without all those other people here to bother us. Now, honestly, if you're hearing me introduce myself and no one's here, you're probably panicking, thinking an episode died, unless you heard last week. But I can assure you, dear listener, that no episode died because no episode was recorded because we are starting the RFN summer break in May. We're enjoying the sights and sounds of summer in May. So, honestly, what happened here is three of us have a conflict this week where we simply could not record. That includes the two people who actively can edit the show. So, we would have had no editor and only had one person. Just didn't seem worth recording. Next week, we're down two people, and I think we were still in need of an editor even if we could record. So, we decided to just take 2 weeks off. It's been a long time since we took any time off, and we're happy to do it. But because we're taking such a long break, if it was just 1 week, we'd say, hey, it's a week. Just a heads up. There won't be an episode next week. Don't panic. Don't panic. But because it's 2 weeks, we wanted to make sure there's something on the feed for you to listen to, at least for this week. We might do it again next week, but at least for this week. So I went back to the Nintendo World Report Patreon Salt Mines. And if you've never engaged with the NWR Patreon, about 2019, I received a request for RFN to produce some content for the NWR Patreon. This is how we finance the site, essentially, or part of it. I mean, there's other sources of revenue, but it's part of how we absorb the cost of running an independent Nintendo website. And if you've been following the video game media mess lately, it's hard to finance a website, even when you don't pay your writers, which we don't. Everybody here is a volunteer, including those of us recording RFN every week. So we use the Patreon in part to help us cover some of our expenses. And so from about end of 2019 to 2021, RFN produced a monthly episode for the Patreon. We ended up kind of backing away because we were failing to meet our obligations. We weren't able to get one out every month due to scheduling conflicts. We basically had to have a second recording session every few weeks, and it wasn't working. The goal was to have a bunch in the can that we could just release. And we just do like one big long marathon session where we might record like 3 or 4 of them. But honestly, a lot of them required prep work ahead of time. And so that became really difficult to do. Doesn't really excuse the fact that we were missing months. And so we basically just said, hey, rather than promising that we're going to deliver episodes, we're just going to tell you we're not. But there are about 26 to 29 episodes of the RFN Patreon episodes on the Nintendo World Report Patreon that you can go listen to right now. On top of that, there's a bunch of live and recurring NWR Patreon content, some of which is really cool. So you can give it a shot, and you can go hear the entire backlog for $1. One singular dollar. One greenback. And that gets you access to everything. The things you get access to at higher tiers are suggestions for content and then your name and stuff. And that would be really generous of you to do that to help the site along. But honestly, for $1, you get all the content. That's about as cheap as you can go. I don't think Patreon lets you do less than $1. So, hey, for $1, you can go listen to all that stuff. That is patreon.com/Nintendo World Report, I believe. Hold on. Let me confirm that. I'm going to this isn't even live. I could just fix it. I could just do it better. But you know what? I'm going to leave the verisimilitude of James Jones fucking it up because that's what you should expect. Patreon.com/NWR, not Nintendo World Report, /NWR. Hi. Hi. Patreon.com/NWR. My mistake. So what episode are we unlocking this week? We've unlocked a few in the past to put them on the main feed. This one's a little bit different. This one is an episode from September 21, 2020. So keep in mind this is still in the midst of the pandemic. And we had done a bunch of episodes where we talked about stuff that we've been watching because we'd all been streaming a lot of content with the pandemic going on. But we had another series that we were running. You've heard us joke about the Keeley Wars. That was one of the series. This isn't one of those. This is a game that Guillaume, stole from Player One podcast, but that's fine. He went to the NWR backlog and read some old reviews from like 2003, 2004. And he read the last paragraph of the review to us, to John, Greg, and myself, and made us try to guess what game it was. We refer to these as the Name That Review game. So this was from 2003 reviews, GameCube games, I believe. And this is called RFN Patreon Episode 16, Tube Focused Design. You can guess what game is in there if you're a longtime RFN listener. You'll be right. I'm going to read you my write-up from this thing. It's time for our September RFN Patreon episode, and it's round 3 of Name That Review. Guillaume is now quoting PGC reviews from 2003. For those of you who don't know, PGC Planet GameCube is the former name of one of the former names of Nintendo World Report. PGC reviews from 2003, and challenging his co-hosts to guess the game, somebody squeezed a Dennis Dyack quote in where it absolutely does not belong, and James is incensed. I went back and listened to this episode when I went to select what episode we're going to do, and yeah, I was mad. I was super mad. And you know what? I got mad listening to me get mad 5 years later. That's anger through time. That's temporal tirades. So if you want to have a temporal tirade, stick around. Listen to this episode. But if you've already heard it, hey, first off, thank you for being a patron, because that's the only way you could have heard this episode previously, and I appreciate your support. But we'll be back in a couple weeks. I will give you the exact date. Hold, please. We will be back for the episode that is scheduled to be released on the 1st of June. That is the 1st of June. That is a Sunday. I may or may not be on that episode. To be determined. But Guillaume and Greg will be back, and if I will not be on that episode, I will find them a guest. I have already committed that to them. Who will that guest be? Who can say? I have not attempted to solve that problem yet. John will definitively not be back. So if you want to write an email and make fun of John and possibly me with no ability for us to shoot back, RFN at NintendoWorldReport.com. That's RFN at NintendoWorldReport.com. When the Switch 2 comes out on the June of 5th, I think, June 5th, something like that, you'll get to hear some more RFN content because we will be talking about it. Hopefully Greg will have his. If not, you can hear us talk about it in the subsequent episode. But hey, thank you. Thank you for putting up with this incredibly long preamble that I'm completely coming up with off the dome and refuse to edit, so there will be no changes. It is exactly as it came from my mouth the first time I tried to say it. And on that, enjoy the 4.5 years younger versions of us trying to guess reviews from people that we knew at the time 20 years previously. Hello and welcome to Nintendo World Report RFN Patreon episode
16?
16? Sure, we'll go with that. I'm James Jones. I'm joined today by Mr. Greg Leahy.
Hello, everyone.
John Lindemann.
It's great to be here as always, James.
And our MC for the evening, Mr. Guillaume Vayette.
Hello, hello. Yeah, so we're doing... go ahead.
Go for it.
Well, so we're doing something we've done twice before already.
Because it's easy.
It's a free real estate. I don't know.
It's always free real estate.
So we are doing a quiz based on Nintendo World Report, or more accurately, I suppose, Planet GameCube reviews. We've done 2001 and 2002 reviews for GameCube games, and now we're at the year 2003. And so this
you should have swerved and gone 2004. Just totally caught us off.
Yeah, I probably should have, but too complicated. We got to keep things simple here.
Well, I mean, the reality of the situation is we're going to hit a point in the GameCube where it's like, oh, there's only 3 games that year. Yeah. That's no good.
You got to make sure not to confuse Planet Puzzle League with Chibi Robo, I suppose.
It's like, did you just quote Baten Kaito's Origins review to me again?
Still, I mean, when it gets to that point, you could always get some of those DS reviews.
Sure, I guess we can switch to a different platform. But
I mean, I don't. If you've already tipped the hand that there's no GBA in this, is that, are you committing to that now, or?
Yeah, I'm because it's not that easy to filter reviews by both GBA and GameCube games, so I'm just I don't know.
Really.
Right.
I have to get you database access. I'm guessing that
I haven't asked the question yet.
No, I'm guessing that there wouldn't be a ton of GBA reviews that would not be super clear, because a lot of the GBA games we wouldn't do.
Yeah.
It'd be like, oh, that's So Raven, great. if you ever give us fucking That's So Raven as a question,
Yeah,
for this,
you
you're a
don't.
monster.
I mean, you
No,
can. You can allow GBA games without picking that So fucking Raven. To be fair, I think that is possible.
So
Yeah, I know,
in the past, like in the past 2 quizzes, we've stuck. I don't know, like someone decided would be better if we stuck with people who were on the podcast, but that went by the wayside. I picked anyone's review is fair game here.
Well, the thing is, in
it was
2002 as well, they had the thing of like there were a number of import reviews where like a bunch of people got to review, so like that.
Right.
That meant you could have like Johnny's review Sunshine, even though a bunch of other people reviewed that, or was it TYP's review of Wind Waker, even though a bunch of other people reviewed that. As time went on, like that was less common, where it's like let's have 4 or 5.
Yeah, let's put all of our resources into reviewing this game 11 times.
Right. So again, this is an idea they've lifted from Player One Podcast. They've got their own Patreon episodes, and one of the things that they do is a quiz. Like they're all three, they're former EGM writers, so they go back to old EGM reviews and laugh at how badly they were written. Of course, we don't have badly written reviews on Nintendo World Report, so it's a different vibe. But
Well, I'm
it's still
enjoying
pretty fun.
Dr. Pepper right now. I don't know what you mean.
So, basically, I took the last paragraph of a review of a game published in 2003, and these people here have to guess what it is.
So this is 2003 North America in all cases, right? Because this was an era where you might have
I
to
will
do
mention
shit.
if it's not. And
Okay.
if I don't if it's not and I don't mention it, that's because I didn't know and I didn't care.
Okay, because this is still in the era where like you could have it's a 2002 game in North America and it's a 2005 game in Europe.
Well, we
Look,
had the
there is
Swerve.
a Smash Brothers review in 2003.
Yeah, because that game took forever.
But no, it was actually 2 years old at that point, or almost. But someone decided, you know what, I want to write a review.
Want to weigh
And they
in.
did.
Yeah, well, it's fair enough. It's still legitimate.
So I did not pick that one. But,
But no,
Well, I
yeah,
mean, service
well,
games keep
because the Swerve last time was import Wind Waker sneaking into 2002.
It's fucking
Right.
bullshit right there.
But that means that Wind Waker is still in play for this one because there's bound to have been reviews of the North American version. So
it was. Yes. So the other one is last time was the one where when I went back and editing confirmed that I was screwed out of points, and that I absolutely
that was
did
a
win.
different type of game. That was the anagram or whatever.
Was it?
And also
Okay, I don't remember.
Yeah. And also, like, there are
Scorekeepers.
no stakes, so I don't know.
There are always stakes.
It doesn't
There's
matter.
stakes in life.
Street rep.
Street rep. That's right. NBA street rep.
All right, well, keep track of your own
is
points.
that the
then.
one with Peach or is that like that's 2005?
That's two.
It had to be.
All right,
Two had
so
peach in it.
I don't know how to do this. Like in the past, like I think you went one after the other, but maybe you all want to try to answer, or
Yeah,
Sure. Why don't
you'll know I've buzzed in when I go?
why don't we just all like come up with an idea if we have one, and then at the end we'll just honor
or
system.
maybe let's have an order, and then if
all right.
the
Well, you
person
can
doesn't
control
know.
the order.
Okay, well, you guys decide because I kind of know which ones are easier.
John,
than
congratulations, you're
I'll
first.
go. That's fine. I'll go first because I'll be the worst of everybody, so I'll be quickest to pass.
The guy who was
okay,
on the
well.
staff at the time.
Probably edited a bunch of these, right?
Probably did. Well,
So, John,
I'm not Greg though. I don't have his photographic.
This is John.
memory.
So John, why don't you pick who goes?
I just
Go
remember
ahead.
things I don't want to remember the most.
Yeah, exactly. I know
There's
you
a
don't
lot
have,
of that these
you don't have a
days.
choice.
There's a
Believe me,
lot of
Greg.
that.
Greg, forgetting stuff is a luxury.
So this is 2003 is peak GameCube too. So there's
Yeah.
actually a bunch of games. So
Yeah. And I mostly, I picked the classics. I picked the stuff people remember. So here's an easy one for you, John. Now we get to the meat of the matter. Title has refreshingly new ideas crammed into a stale execution of a racing game. Usually, you would expect the future of racing to be fast and furious, but the sense of speed just isn't there. You can unlock a mode later that increases the speed of all the ships, but the end result is not good enough. The speedometer would tell me 1,299 miles per hour, but I would be hard-pressed to believe I was actually going that fast. The lock-on feature, which allows you to siphon boost energy from your opponents, is actually very clever. However, the times you can utilize this feature effectively are very seldom, and usually you reap no benefit from trying. There are only 10 courses, and there are all tubes. Surprised? The problem with this tube emphasis is that despite the gravity-defying claim of Title, gravity is still in effect. Its presence means that the entire strategy of racing in Title is to try to stay at the lowest point possible. And should you accidentally curl up to the roof, you slow down for no reason, and the control loosens. Title is more difficult than it has to be because winning often demands perfection on your part. One screw up and you are whisked from first place to sixth, even on the easiest setting. It's not the kind of difficulty you want to have in a racing game.
That's way more words than this game deserved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This game is Tube Slider.
Yes, it is. Tube sliders.
It's not what the phrase that was used, but the idea of tube-centric design is
Tube-focused design.
Yeah, it's. I'm surprised that hasn't entered the parlance, down the
This
years.
tube emphasis. You feel like we don't talk about this tube emphasis
I don't
enough.
know. It's just because it's the 3D platformer thing. It's just this like one little halcyon period of tubes being so central to.
Those were the days.
I guess it was
Tube
the
days.
days of the meme about the internet being a series of tubes or whatever. So, I mean, yeah, I guess, once that meme just dropped out because way too many other stupid things were said to kind of overwrite it, then I guess that was
John
it.
has tub time, but 2003 was tube time.
Tub time can also be Tube time if you play your cards right.
No, moving on. John, who's next?
Are we at the water park or something? What's going on?
No, we're in hell. John, who's next?
Greg should go next.
Okay.
All right. So that tube slider review was by Jeff Shirley.
No,
right.
that checks out.
So, Greg,
Yes.
unlike many games that get put in the hype spotlight, Title has proven itself worthy. With its unique style and old-school gameplay, Title rises above the piles of cliché games that line the shelves of game stores. The game's hardcore, retro-style gameplay will appeal to anybody in need of a real challenge. The quirky story will draw in those who want to laugh out loud at their game. The classic beat-em-up action will captivate players who want to take a trip to yesteryear, as well as those who have never tried the genre before. Title is truly a great game and deserves all the hype and praise it gets.
God, I'm struggling with this one, I gotta say.
Yeah, there's not a lot to go on. I have a guess, but
It's sort of beat 'em up. That had a lot of hype in 2003.
so we have to compare it to all the other games on shelves in 2003.
Well, yes, that's true.
Whatever the fuck that means.
Just by then, probably everything that wanted to be GTA, presumably, because GTA 3 was 2001, so like the imitators were coming out in force by now, but there was so much on GameCube.
It's just
The hype bit is what I'm trying to work on. Like, what were people psyched for in 2003?
that's the only reason I have a guess.
Yeah,
That's it.
It's not coming to me.
All right. Does anyone else have a guess? Well, James, you do. Did you
Yeah.
wanna-
Is it Beautiful Joe?
It is beautiful, Joe.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
the
the only brawler
difficulty the difficulty is the other. That's the thing. I don't think about that as being something that people were hyped for, but I guess it's perfectly reasonable in terms of like it looked really cool to me from previews and stuff. And
Yeah,
I didn't really think of it as being something that other people were hyped for, but I guess it's You know, it's got
It
a
was
different...
literally the only brawler I could think of.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
just like, well, it's got to be Beautiful
That's
Joe
prominent,
then.
yeah. That's actually
Also-
prominent and unique enough to,
Right.
Yeah, it kind of got a boost by IGN and places like that. So I don't know if it really appealed to people who didn't have a GameCube, but it.
I mean, it got sequel and 2
visibility.
spin-offs, so like it must have done decently well.
Yeah, like you
Didn't
said,
it
the
get
spin-offs
a
as well.
demo as well, or am I imagining that?
A demo? It was on the GameCube demo discs. Yeah.
Right. Anyway,
For store
so
kiosks. Yeah.
all right. So James,
Yeah.
Title tries to be part of the franchise series, but fails miserably by separating the key elements of a franchise game: action, puzzles, and exploration. Developer has removed the series' essence by holding the player's hand and ignoring the meaning of game over. The team has stabbed its own level and boss designs in the back. By neglecting to set any additional goals upon the short game's completion, publisher has provided no reason to own this title. Don't buy Title for $50, $40, or even $30. I love franchise, but this game is barely worth a rental.
What the fuck?
I
Wow,
think
that's really
I have a
harsh.
guess on this one, but obviously...
Really?
Yeah, I think so, but I mean, I could be wrong. I feel like I definitely read reviews for the game I'm going to guess that were like this. I just don't necessarily remember that it was a Get Planet GameCube review, but there were definitely some like this for my guess.
Would like part of me? All right, so here's my brain turning. Part of me is thinking like maybe a Resident Evil 0, I guess, like the games that kind of went off the rails on an episode of or in a part of the series. I guess I'll go with that.
All right. And what was your guess, Greg?
My guess is Wario World.
And Greg is right.
Oh,
Yeah, the
this-
game over thing is the big clue there, because I've said there's a notable thing about the fact that you just pay, like, from collectible coins to just, like,
Right.
not have a game over. And it does kind of really my answer to that, having read, I'm sure I did read that review at the time and others like it, was just to never do it. And it made the game a lot better.
Oh, nice.
my copy of Wario World is still sealed.
Yeah, I haven't played it much. But yeah, this review was by Michael Cole.
Yeah, I'm not, again, makes sense to be too big in terms of fan of the series, but yeah, there's no, like, obviously exploration from especially, like, you know, Wario Land 2 and 3, but even to the extent this in 4, you know, because this is kind of a brawler as well, actually, funnily enough, we've managed to hit
Right.
another 2003 game that's a bit of a brawler, but yeah, this was definitely not hyped, because it did cross my mind. When we were talking about Beautiful Joe, where I was like,
Right.
yeah, but no one was excited for Wario World, were they? I mean, really?
Yeah,
you know,
they didn't really praise it when they actually played it.
it looked kind of cheap, you know. It didn't exude like the cool fact, certainly that Beautiful Joe did. So that's kind of, yeah, I was barking up the wrong tree with that, but then yeah, it came in handy shortly thereafter.
John. Import review.
Oh,
So, it starts like this. My roommate Tom says, "It's fun and all, but if I was playing alone, I'd pass on it." This statement nails Title right on the head. It is an amazingly fun game, but its true potential is only revealed if you have the friends to play it with. As a single-player game, it's nothing special. Everything in single-player has been done before, and slightly better, on the Game Boy Advance. But with friends playing, the commotion surrounding a game like this is astounding. Very few games will inspire such colorful language and absolute insanity. With a cheap import price at Video Game Depot, nearly complete playability with no Japanese skills, and no US release in sight, this is an excellent choice for importers. Title is an absolute multiplayer own. Absolute multiplayer must own. Sorry,
that
makes more sense.
Must own a multiplayer game that was not released in North America in 2003.
At that time, it wasn't released.
At that time.
It wasn't announced for one, I guess, just judging from the comment about with no release in sight.
Yeah.
But I think I know what this game is. And Guillaume, would I be correct in saying this game did come out in North America eventually?
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
I do not know.
I wouldn't have picked it if no one had played it, right? Who had the guess?
Greg, do you have one?
I've not got one, so...
I think this is WarioWare Mega Party Games.
Yes, it is. So, review by Mike Sklens. And, it's a fun game, and no one played it. But
I did play the localization of this eventually once.
I did too.
Just pretty briefly, but yeah. So it had some of the weird instructional stuff about like do this with the controller kind of thing, and it only works with people around, really, doesn't it? That whole concept.
They continued that weird controller stuff to the Wii ones.
Yeah, it was more it was like a core feature of the Wii, because the whole pretend you're an elephant or the umbrella
or the big cheese.
Exactly.
Oh yes.
My experience with that game was so weird because the first night that we played it, everyone was just in stitches because it was just so nuts. And then the second evening that people tried to play it, everyone is super serious and actually trying to win, and it was completely different mood, and it was not nearly as fun actually. So it's kind of the kind of game concept that only seems to work once,
So the only reason I was able to pick it up though was the comment that single player was done better on the GBA, but multiplayer on the GameCube was.
Yeah, literally the single player was the GBA game.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay. Well, what game was on both? Not that many.
Yeah, I was trying to think maybe a series, like if this was about, like a Mario Kart type of scenario, but then it's like, well, obviously something like Mario Kart is going to be announced, like the date you're going to know that, so it can't be that. But yeah, I'd forgotten that this was something that had that kind of lag on it, actually. I played the localized. I mean, I imported quite a lot of GameCube games. I had a lot of Japanese games, but I didn't import this. I just played the PAL version with some friends who also had a GameCube, like probably more like 2005-06 by then. But I'd forgotten that there was a big kind of lag with this.
I mean, I think it came out not too far out. So I mean, it could have been that. It was not that far out. It was just it got dumped on store shelves.
Yeah, sure. It just might not have trumpeted their plan to release it in the West until quite
Here
close.
It is.
Yeah. All right. Whose turn is it? Greg's?
Yep.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay. Returning to the opening statement. With all of the pieces in mind concerning what title offers outside of the gameplay itself. This game truly has no well-defined audience. It utterly lacks the sophistication in humor or sexual content to attract and then deliver the goods to anyone old enough to buy an M-rated game.
Deliver the goods.
There are much funnier and obviously dirtier forms of media out there that someone over 18 has full and unrestricted access to. For people too young to properly buy this game, sadly, it still doesn't deliver much more. True, you can see some boobies and giggle a few times at some of the outrageous tasks you're asked to undertake, but again, there is better in almost any form out there already. Take away the peripheral nonsense the game was marketed with, and all you're left with is an unremarkable extreme sports title. With that in mind, the final question ends up being why? Why objectify women and stereotype several races and social classes so callously, taking a ton of criticism in the process, and then settle for such a poor excuse for a payoff on all levels?
See, I think this review actually should have said a why there. They answered their own question with the second part.
Oh god, we've got. Funnily enough, I've got a game in my. Good God, I hope there isn't another game that this description could
There is.
apply.
So the thing is, there until you said extreme sports, there is another game it could have been.
I guess. I don't know.
Except like there's a part where they say like the tasks you're asked to undertake. I don't think that other game you're thinking of would be.
Okay, yeah, maybe not.
Yeah.
I would argue playing the Guy game is a task of its own.
Right. Did Greg guess?
No, I'll tell you, BMX Triple X got to be.
I mean, he knows what it
The
is.
most extremes, but it's extreme to the power of 3. You know,
That's right.
Oh my God! So this review is by Justin Nation, and like pretty much does not spare it.
It's very evocative of the final product. You can't. I mean, it's I think pretty well done on that basis. You have to say.
Yeah, I mean, confirmed. Everything said about this is true, except I don't know that we actually laughed at any of the tasks at any point. I think we just kind of laughed at the fact we were playing it.
Yeah.
It was it was not a good time. But
No.
like so if people don't know what we're talking about, we did play we streamed ourselves playing this for the 400th episode.
Only the best, wasn't it? The Aegean
right.
Chronicles
So
and this.
George the Jungle.
Yeah, and for this quiz, I did say I would only mention the classics.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, in a weird way, this game is kind of special and does have some historical oddities, including.
Yeah, well, that's why it's kind of suitable for this sort of exercise. Because if you get the kind of time capsule of 03, then this is kind of a nice. It serves a purpose in that sort of department because it is I guess maybe it was waning a bit, but it was this kind of. It was kind of like one of the real most trying the hardest of like that approach of trying to market to adolescent boys.
Yeah, I would describe this as, if I was to coin a phrase, I would say it's the last mile of the puerile.
Very nice. Well done. So actually, what's interesting about this one, though, is it sort of closed the book on a chapter in that one, because you had an era where you had Tony Hawk, and then it was, okay, what other extreme sports person can we get to put their name on there? So Dave Mirra was the go-to for this. And his team, on seeing what this game was becoming, so he had originally bought in on this kind of like puerile objective-based game. But on seeing what it was becoming, they pulled out. And so that's when it just became BMX Triple X. And it leaned in even harder. But that sort of puerile nonsense shit, like that was sort of the licensed era of this is over, actually starts to roll over into the underground games, which is sort of like phase 2 of the extreme sports stuff, where it's less about just rack up big points and more about like, hey, there's Bam Margera. I guess I have to go jump over his father and do an ollie so that the can of poop will fall on him.
Right.
Which might actually be a real objective.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it might actually be in one of those games.
God. Well, maybe that will get remade pretty soon.
So this was the clarion call of the second era.
God. All right, James.
Yeah.
A short one for you.
Oh, good.
Title is, without a doubt, the best RPG currently out on the GameCube. Not only that, but it is also one of the best RPGs released in the past 5 years. The graphics are a bit dated, but the story is as engrossing as ever. Players who like great RPGs with epic quests and lots to do would be robbing themselves if they did not play this game. Die-hard fans of the original will probably find enough added material in this director's cut to play through it again.
Got it.
Yeah.
Skies of Arcadia Legends.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was sitting there. I'm like, okay, 2003. By then, what would be out? I think there were that. I thought that was actually sooner. I knew there were the 2 Lost Kingdom games at that point. I know that wasn't it.
Right. Yeah. They were not spoken of in such glowing terms.
Yeah. I mean, they're regarded as good, but not that. But that might have been it. So that might have been dabbing with faint praise by saying it's the best RPG on the system.
Yeah, there was not a ton. Review by Mike Sklenz.
Yeah, we had the 5 years thing, which I guess was, meant to emphasise that it was not intended to be faint praise, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
because it could come off that way given the context of GameCube at that particular time.
Yeah. John. The game, as per usual for franchise games, features music right from the movies and lots of top-notch voice acting. There are lots of great cutscenes too, and a fairly interesting story. Overall, the game is well presented, but a bit uninteresting, repetitive, and limited. Most of the game is just running and shooting at the enemies with the auto-targeting, which isn't amazingly fun. It's actually the most average game ever. Since the game is about 10 hours long and there's nothing to do after finishing it and finding all the bounties, it may very well be the perfect rental.
Bounties.
All the bounties.
So, yeah, this is not a classic, and this is not like relevant to RFN history, but it is kind of relevant now, for reasons.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. I know what it is.
Um,
It's the sum of all fears, obviously. you all laughed. There is the sum of all fears GameCube game.
Yeah, I know, it really tickles you when you look, because so few like the licensed game thing. It's just so completely different nowadays. It is funny in the old days to think about like the amount of movies that got tie-in games for consoles,
Or the inappropriate movies that got time.
What about the fucking X versus Sever GBA game or whatever? Like, what was
Yeah,
it?
really.
Which was actually
the
quite-
only good thing that came out of
Exactly,
that
it was like
franchise.
actually kind of good apparently, but it's just like that movie was like a nothing, whereas nowadays it's hard to imagine anything but the most high profile things getting
Right.
a tie-in.
I mean, even Avengers didn't get one, which doesn't get more high profile than that.
I don't know. The bounties thing is throwing me.
Yeah, I don't know the connection there. but-
Yeah.
Yeah. I never play. If I have a guess, just because of the time, just because of the gear, and the bounties thing is kind of a bit at odds with it. But that's the only guess I've got.
Yeah, Guillaume gave me a hint that I started where you're at, and then Guillaume's second hint about this is weirdly relevant now was like, oh, okay, I see what he's talking about. I don't know which one though.
I don't. It's not a Tony Hawk game, is it?
No, it is not.
No, it's a licensed game off a movie, right?
Part of a franchise.
I don't know. I do not know.
So, James, you had a guess?
Greg, I'll let Greg go because I don't know which one it would be.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not confident in this at all. I'm really just going off the year. I'm not even into. I mean, I assume this was on GameCube, but maybe I was just thinking about Enter the Matrix because of the movie.
That's not where I was going at all. It wasn't. That was on the GameCube.
And James, what was your guess?
It's one of the Harry Potter games, but I don't know which one. I'm gonna guess the second one.
Oh, no one is close.
Is it Lord of the Rings? Lord of the Rings, or
nope.
No.
This is Star Wars Bounty Hunter.
Oh, God, I played that game.
The thing is, it was Clone Wars we did last time. We did 02. It was Clone Wars, but of course, yeah, the hits kept coming.
So here's my defense on the fact I own that game and didn't get it. It says the game's 10 hours long. I got locked in that game and couldn't progress. So I have no idea how long that game is.
I remember you telling that story before about it again.
The door
That
just
part
won't
is
open.
Definitely true. Because he said it before. But yeah,
So-
that's right. Because when you first said about the movies, I did think about Rogue Squadron 3. But then, obviously, the remark about just going through corridors and all that ruled that out.
Right.
And so then I got off Star Wars completely because it was like, well, if it's not Rogue Squadron and we did Clone Wars last time, what else could I was forgetting about the Adventures of Jango Fett? So
What a
Right.
fucking miserable game.
And for me, it was like, oh, it's weirdly relevant now. Obviously, you're talking about the fact Mandalorian season 2 had a trailer drop.
Yeah,
Right.
see, I was thinking about the fact that they are making new Matrix movies. That's sort of why I was like, well, it could be, and it may be because I have no idea how Enter the Matrix plays, and maybe it's about going through corridors.
I mean, it's about tubes.
Yes, it was the tube-centric era of game design.
Right.
So. And I mean, the Matrix was like the internet, but to another power of tube. So
Right.
it all connects back through a series of tubes.
It's the tubes inside the tubes.
Yes.
Whereas I was thinking about because they literally just had that whole Harry Potter game. What got an out yesterday?
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
Right. The I thought for some reason that maybe like this was one of the games that was announced for like a re-release or remaster
Limited
on the
run,
Switch,
I think.
but-
Limited run of because they've had a whole bunch of Star Wars re-releases, haven't they? But I'm not
They
sure.
did.
Right.
I'm not sure.
But this
I
is
know
not
it was
one
for
of them.
PS4, but
I can't
I'm
imagine
not
why.
sure if this was going to be on Nintendo or not.
Yeah, it's not. But
Shocking.
yeah. All right. Where are we? This
That was
okay.
John's,
So
right?
Yep.
no.
Greg is next.
Yeah. Oh, the review was by Ty Sugar. All right, Greg. Inevitably, this game will be compared to the outstanding previous title, which is a high watermark for the series. Previous title had the gameplay and story that franchise fans simply gushed over, and there has been a great deal of concern over how title would stack up. Fans, you have not been let down. Title is the new heir to the throne. Those familiar with the series are going to be grinning ear to ear as missing pieces of the franchise puzzle are assembled and explained for them. This, coupled with simply the most fantastic final battles ever conceived, will all serve to catapult title to the top of any self-respecting gamer's list. Let the pundits and naysayers miss out. It serves them right for judging a book by its cover. It's only a month, and title is destined to be the best game of the year on any platform.
It's got to be Wind Waker, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Early in the year, because obviously we established, it came out late 02 in Japan and then early 03 in the West, and judging a book by its cover and just the overwhelming positivity of the review suggests that it could only be
The weirdly defensiveness of it.
yeah.
No,
the
yes,
naysayers
also.
because of the hatred of the art style.
Yeah,
You
serves you right,
naysayers.
pundits.
Yep. Take that, internet.
Yeah.
You judge this
my
book
God,
by
it's-
its cartoony
Was that-
cover.
Who was that?
You
Was
judge
that
this
reviewed by
book,
Neil?
I judge you.
This was Rick Powers.
Rick Powers. Okay. All right. I see you, Rick.
Well, you judge him.
and it must be said of in the final battle, he's very memorable.
It is.
Yes.
It's certainly aesthetically and all that. It's it has been. I've seen it referred to as press A to defeat evil, which is not entirely inaccurate, but aesthetically and storytelling,
If only it were that easy.
it is really really memorable.
So I have one last one. I'm gonna
Okay.
skip. I had like the Simpsons hit and run here lined up, but it's not terribly interesting actually, and not easy.
Yeah,
so.
that's that GTA thing I was just on about.
Yep.
Yeah, with a hint of Crazy Taxi, although there was a more direct Crazy Taxi. Also
Yeah.
a
Yeah. The
rip-off.
Crazy Taxi ripoff was the one before it.
Right.
I mean, hit and run. They even took the whole like, let's take a crime and put it in the title, a vehicular crime.
Yes.
All right, James.
All right.
Dennis Dyack, head of Silicon Knights,
Fuck.
often talks about the future of video games, where the hardware will be so advanced
so-
that fancy graphics won't matter anymore.
Sorry. I just want to stop you there. Can we have a sidebar guess about who wrote this review?
Are we going to offend anyone in particular?
I guess it's pointless there because it seems like we'd all guess the same thing anyway. So do go on.
I'm not even aware of. But anyway, I didn't know this was a thing. So
So there is a former host of the show that got weirdly defensive when we talked about Dennis Dyack. And I would be weirdly aggressive about reminding him about the time he sued Epic for reasons.
all right. So Dennis Dyack often talks about the future of video games where the hardware will be so advanced that fancy graphics won't matter anymore. It will be the developers and games that deliver the best stories that will be hailed as the best. Title exemplifies this vision perfectly. In the end, this game is not about harrowing platforming sequences, dodging vicious traps, or being victorious while outnumbered 8-1 in combat. This game, as explicitly stated by character in the Halls of Learning, is not about that at all. It's a love story. Sure, it's full of all the action of a Jerry Bruckheimer film, but the game is just a vehicle to deliver the wonderful story. Title delivers wonderfully with its... I can't say that. Anyway, sorry.
It's too revealing.
Well, just yeah.
Yeah.
At the same time, it brings together solid controls, which make the game's jumping sequences a joy to play. You may pick up Title for the killer gameplay, but the story is what will keep you coming back. This game is like an excellent short story. Every once in a while, you'll pick it up again to relive the breathtaking adventure.
I mean, I would assume this is Sands of Time.
That was my
Yeah.
guess if you weren't going to go there.
But to have brought in a Dennis Dyack quote into the Sands of
Yeah,
Time review apropos of absolutely nothing.
there is
makes
only
me-
one man who could possibly have written that review.
it's like he's trolling us from outside the episode 18 years hence.
Yeah,
Oh.
so it is Sense of Time by Mike
Did Johnny
Spence.
write this? Whoa! Really?
Okay.
I'm okay. Wow, not the answer I expected.
No,
Well,
because the other thing is that I know Johnny really liked that game as well. So I
Yeah.
really felt like he would be writing that very positive review.
Was it Mike
of the
Sklens
game.
making fun of Johnny in a review? Is that what that was?
I don't know.
It's just evidently at that time, it's just
Yeah, like the crap hadn't hit the fan yet. Like I think Dennis Dyack still had a good reputation back then. So
I mean, he was still. You could still make fun of him back then. Just not for the really insane shit that came later. There was still meat on the bone at that point.
Yeah.
But
It is. Yeah, he had some rough times after that. He really
I don't know what
did.
you're talking about. I don't know. Too Human had been development on the PlayStation. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing to keep in mind. The Xbox 360 first of a 7-game series, Too Human, started development on the PlayStation, the original PlayStation. So many years before it came out. So people were already aware. Like Dennis had some project control concerns. So yeah, that was a swerve I didn't expect to get a Dennis quote. Then it rolls into Sands of Time, but all right.
yeah,
Sure.
but it had to be the narrative focus, the platforming
Yeah.
sequences. Yeah,
In fact, it's a love story.
Also
It's now
relevant with the remake coming out. So
yeah.
Yeah,
and the part that I excised was like the Arabian Nights theme, which was
Yeah,
a
it's
little
a
bit
just
too much.
giving it
It's
away,
on the
right?
nose,
a
yeah.
little on the nose. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's about it for this this quiz. So I hope people enjoyed it. I did not keep track of the points, and
James
if you
would have
have
won,
been,
right?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
James won. Yep.
all right. Well, congratulations, you win nothing.
Yes, just like real life.
Yeah,
You win
exactly.
2003. Now you have to go back there forever.
So I actually do win then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just-
exactly.
I mean, admittedly, if you're gonna have to spend the whole time playing BMX Triple X, it's it's
Oh
invasive.
God,
But you've got.
that's like
plenty of
the
time.
a really terrible Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah, oh yeah. So be careful
Oh,
what you
little
wish for.
exactly.
The
His
monkey
GameCube was
paw.
super glued closed with BMX Triple X. I'm gonna go
God.
play Casper Spirit Dimensions.
Disappointed there was no Ikaruga in there. I wanted to hear.
Was that a
an
2003?
excerpt
Oh,
from an Ikaruga
I'm
review.
sorry. I skipped it. I do have it open here.
Admittedly, Ikaruga is only famous for things that people said in preview coverage with regard to the infamous frothing demand
Right.
line.
Right.
wrote the
Should we
review?
switch to IGN previews then for this quiz?
Yeah, exactly.
That is.
Who wrote
I mean,
the
you
Ikaruga
probably
review, Cam?
you probably lived that a lot more actively than I did. Yeah, on being on the forums and stuff.
Yeah. John, so we've got 2 reviews at least. One by Jonathan Metz and who was the other one? Ty Sugart, I think.
What were the scores?
I don't-
8.5s?
Yeah.
Nice.
Ty
Nice.
reviewing that
Approved.
game is a Ty reviewing that game is a completely different perspective than Johnny reviewing that game.
Let me look it up. No, I'm not sure anymore.
Ty's probably like, this game's really easy and it's for babies. I need it to be harder.
Exactly.
I bought 2 copies of it. I'm playing them at the same time just to get some more difficulty.
All right, I can just click on reviews here, and we'll. Yeah, Ty Sugart reviewed the other one. Both gave it 8.5.
Yeah, it's reasonable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I approve of that score, so
Of course
you do.
Thank you.
you're not going to have any argument from me.
It's almost
Thanks, John.
exactly as good. That's the
most
concept.
committed.
John
It is-
actually has 8.5 tattooed on his upper arm.
Literally exactly as good as.
Exactly. So I mean, why wouldn't
No,
it?
I don't think it's as good because it doesn't have the headbanger to go with it.
Yeah.
God.
It's a huge loss. We didn't get banned from playing it online before the match started for cheating, so I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough sell.
Yeah, well, when we do this for the games of 2009, then I know what's gonna come up.
It's gonna be really funny when we do this for a game that one of us reviewed.
That is, yeah.
and we
that
do our own
is what
review and we just miss.
Is 2000 and obviously, I mean, John's already been in play. To be fair,
Yeah,
not for the conduit, but for many other reviews that he would have authored down the years. But yeah, for James and myself, he wouldn't come in until 2007, right? So
Yeah. I mean, there have definitely been games where we've talked about them on the show, and then like 10 minutes into the conversation, went, "Oh shit, I reviewed that game."
Yeah.
And I'd be like, "Tell me more about this game. I'm interested in hearing about it." Really? I've never heard of it. Oh God.
It's like, yeah,
There
you,
was at
gave,
least-
you gave it a 7.5 back in 2002.
There's
Oh,
at least
did
one
I?
incident of that where one of y'all was talking about a game I had reviewed like 10 years previous. Forgot I had reviewed it, forgot the game.
Yeah.
Asked you questions, realized I had reviewed it and the game after I looked up it on the site and didn't say a fucking thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just absolutely swallowed my tongue for the rest of the segment. I'm like, oh, I sound like a moron. I'm not going to say another word. I'm just going to stare at the screen until the segment ends.
So, yeah,
So,
that's what we've
yeah,
got to look
I
forward
just,
to in future Patreon exclusive episodes. Everyone,
There we go. When we get to the Battalion Wars 2 review, don't worry, because nobody did.
No, nobody
Oh,
did.
if I could
It's
get
gonna
my
be-
hands.
It's just
I
going to
could-
be the sound of a GameStop guy saying, "Hey, yeah, that's $4 in trading credit. Thanks, Carl."
Like that we've just pulled out a slam from like 13 years ago.
Yeah, to be
And just
fair,
I will never forget that, or
Before
really
we
forgive
started-
it either.
before
it's
we
like,
started
you know-
recording, I did the one about him reading stuff off the front page of the site. To be fair, we just, what can you say, the oldie but a goodie.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, you crossed me once. Never forget. Never forget.
No, John did deliver. John delivered the Spiderwick thing. Right? You made good on that.
John did, because I remember Carly's review cram session where she's like, "Here's everyone that owes me reviews. I'm going to force them all to write them." She sent me an email and she's like, "You owe me 4," and I'm like, "No."
I like to think John only did that just so he could preserve the moral authority to break Carl's balls about BWE or whatever.
Yeah.
I turned in 2 reviews that day, and then Spiderwick showed up, and I thought like, well, I think I've said my piece, sir, and walked out. She's like, "Oh, and it's Spider." No. That review needs to go up as written by the author, untouched. Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, Guillaume, thank you for pulling these.
Yeah, no problem.
And thank you, dear listener, for your contributions to help keep NintendoWorldReport.com going. It is through your contributions that we're able to do things like this and have this incredible backlog of historical reviews that you can then go reference when you want to find out what's the right GameCube game for you in the year 2020. So if you want to decide if that $60 collection of Mario games is worth it, well, we have reviews for almost all of them on the site. Actually, we probably do have a review for Mario 64.
Well, it'd be a
back when we
VC recommendation.
Yeah.
The old recommended for fans, recommended for everyone, or not recommended scale.
Right. I want somebody to have written a not recommended VC recommendation for Mario 64. I would applaud. I'd be like, well, you've made a decision. I see. But thank you for listening. And on that, it's time for us to go. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Later.
Bye-bye.